My name is Dean Jett, and I'm the operations manager for Volker Steven Highways. We run training programs for our key leadership group, our foremen, our field staff, the field supervisors, superintendents, and managers. And last year we took the opportunity of bringing in Bluegem to run a half-day session for us. And it was based on the critical, crucial conversation components, sometimes the difficult conversations our foremen have to have when there's performance measures going on with their crews. And Russell's team came in and had a very interactive workshop with us. It lasted about 3.5, 4 hours, and it was all about role playing and about getting at the situations as real life as you can get without actually experiencing it firsthand with your guys. So it gives our leadership team a great resource of information, what they might expect in certain situations. And we had about 70 leaders there. And initially we were a little bit concerned about maybe them not getting interactive, but once Russell's team got them engaged, we had no trouble with different foremen coming up, guys or ladies that would not normally do that kind of stuff, and got right into it. And it was a lot of humor, a lot of real life situations, different scenarios that were based upon what our company does, Volker Steven Highways, a highway maintenance contractor. But it was just a really engaging afternoon, and I got a lot of feedback from our crews afterwards about how well it went and how practical it is for the real working world. So I would highly recommend Russell and his group. They really make it an entertaining afternoon and a comfortable afternoon for everybody involved.
One of the reasons why we put this workshop together 2-3 years ago is one of the things I found that working both in HR and in operations with organisations both here in North America and internationally in Europe is that one of the things that most supervisors and managers weren't particularly good at was having difficult conversations with staff.
Body language, like, oh, it's not easy, which is what Suzanne had picked up on. Can you give us that line?
Oh, I mean, it sounds great, but it's just not easy.
And that'll be your opportunity to be like, to compassionately probe into what that's all about. Okay? Alrighty, so I'm gonna clap my hands and you're gonna get underway. You all set?
Yep.
Okay, great, here we go.
The difference between this type of conversation and a coaching conversation is you can't coach somebody until they accept they need to do something differently.
So here you are in your meeting room, and you've asked Nicole to come in. You've already done the hello, thanks for coming in part. So Nicole, why don't we go with the, why don't we give you the first line, and why don't we start with why am I here today?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
All set.
Okay, here we go.
I know that you've been in several departments in the company, and I want you to understand that you really need to take this seriously.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of departments because, like, my experience is valuable, so they want to share it around.
I'm telling you that you should consider this a formal warning that you are on probation.
Oh, is it on?
It is on.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a nice call to my union and see what they say about it.
Okay.
Okay.
How about we talk about a plan to mitigate the behavior that you're demonstrating?
I don't
Because
see there's a problem with my behavior. Look, I told you, like, the dents are minor. Like, I'm an excellent driver. You should have seen what would have happened if, I wasn't driving the way I was driving. We'd have some major damage. I
Okay.
avoided major damage.
as your supervisor, I'm telling you it's an issue.
Hey, how about a round of applause for Shireen? So, what did Shireen? Let's pick this apart. What did Shireen do well?
Oh, she didn't punch me in the face.
She didn't punch her in the face. That's good. Okay, so score 1 for not punching Nicole in the face. Right? We don't give Nicole hazard pay, so I appreciate that. Sarah, yes.
I thought it was great that she came right out with the issue and then 3 examples to follow to back it up.
Right. Okay, so right up with the issue and then 3 examples to follow it right afterwards. And again, Shireen missed the whole beef part of the lecture, right? So like it's just, again, it's intuitive. You got the card and we did a little side coaching. But really, you really nailed it with you were really clear on what those examples were. And you also went right from behavior into the examples before she had an opportunity to get all defensive about it, right? So that was very clear.
But so you're prepared that people might throw that at you, and they come at you with that sword or that axe, not literally, hopefully, that the Viking has, because that's the way they're hoping you to stop having that conversation.
The training was great. It was an opportunity where employees were able to understand each other's roles and understand each other's frustrations, both internally and externally. This was a great value for the City of Brooks, and we're able to train all of our employees in a more effective and efficient way through this training.
Hi, I'm Ken Cameron, and this is Russell Stratton. Together, we created Managing the Unmanageable, a unique program that allows your leaders and your managers to get as close as possible to the real challenging conversation that they need to have with their employees, but in a safe learning environment. We've just finished doing one of our sessions today here in this room, and we're going to take a few minutes to ask a couple of questions of each other to share with you what our program is all about. So I've written out a couple of questions on this sticky note here that I'm going to ask you, Russell, so you can explain it to our listeners. So the number one question that I have for you is, what are the kinds of problems that our participants generally face when they come into a session like they did today?
Okay, I think there's three things typically that we tend to find. The first is that people have inherited problems from the past. So they've recently moved into a management or supervisory position, and what they've inherited is the problem employee that nobody else has dealt with. They know it's a problem, but they've sort of passed them around the organisation. So this manager's come in, and now I've got to tackle the situation. And the second thing leads off from there, really. They know they need to do something, but often they're not quite sure what to do. And they're conscious that they only get one opportunity to get it right first time, and if they get it wrong, then are they going to end up in union negotiations and litigation, etc.
So why don't the participants have this conversation right off the bat instead of moving the person around the organization?
I think it's often simply because people don't have the skills. As I say, people know what they have to do, and often there's a nice checklist of these are the things that you need to cover, but what they haven't had is the opportunity to practice doing it. So they can't simulate the conversation they're going to have, and so there's that sort of fear and trepidation that what happens if this goes wrong, and to err on the side of, well, perhaps if I don't do anything, things might sort themselves out.
So how does our program, Managing the Unmanageable, help managers do this?
Yeah. Well, one of the key things for our programs, you're saying that makes it different from a lot of our other programs that are out in the market, is that we allow people to simulate those actual problem conversations in that learning environment in the classroom. So we're working with clients to put together scenarios that are actual problems. And then we have professional improv actors that come in and work with a format that we call forum theatre that helps participants actually have that conversation and be guided through it with other co-participants and ourselves, so they can practice over and over doing this until they feel they've really got it right.
Right. One of the questions that I often get is, how does this program differ from traditional role playing? Which usually underlying that is, well, why don't I just do this role playing with someone in my workplace? So how does our program provide an added benefit?
Yeah, and I think it really is the actors.
Okay.
I think it's the actors. It's obviously it's us, but it's also the actors. Because what they're able to do is that sort of ability to really become the person. When we get into traditional role play, we sort of have, can you pretend to be a difficult employee? And Russell, can you try and be a manager? And we sort of have this rather sort of false conversation. Yeah. But when we have the professional actor there, they become immersed in the character and can really be that person. So that allows the manager to be themselves and to practice in real time as if it was the actual person sitting opposite them, even though it isn't. And if things go terribly wrong for them, well, the worst thing that happens is their ego gets bruised. They call a timeout, we can sit and review with them, we can action plan the next steps, and they can try again. So I think that really makes a difference. It becomes so much more realistic for them. And often we've had people say, this is as if I was actually sitting in the room. I felt I was having the actual conversation with that actual person. So of course, when they go back to the workplace the next day or the next week and have the conversation for real, it's that much easier for them because they've practiced it in the simulation.
Okay, all right. So what are our participants saying when they finish the workshop at the end of a long day like this?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things really following on from what I was just saying is people walking out saying, one, I have the confidence to actually tackle that issue now in the workplace. I've now had a chance to practice, and I think that's the real valuable piece. The confidence goes from people at this level really up to this level being able to say, yeah, I can go and do this. I think the other thing is the retention rates. Typically in a classroom training, people will get a great course, the trainers like us, fantastic, really enjoyed it, and then 2/3 of it disappears the minute they walk out the door. What we found with this program is that retention rates of learning have increased 2- or 3-fold, that people are really remembering this course 12 months, 18 months down the line, and what they learnt from it, and are then able to apply that, which is really the test of good learning.
Okay, so it solves real world problems. It gets you as close to the conversation that you're going to have as humanly possible, and it's sticky.
Sure does.
Okay, great. So if those sound like things that you want to apply to your workplace, then fill out the form below and get in touch with us. We'll set up a meeting and we'll talk to you about how we can meet your needs. Thanks very much.